Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? This is Jim Prusak from the Pain PT, and I'm here to give you guys information. Today's evidence of the week. We're going to continue with evidence of the week, and today's going to be a really good one, guys. You can really understand here how emotions, which we talk about, cause physical sensations in your body, and that the emotions that you're feeling are the symptoms you are having when there's not a physical problem. This is so important to understand. I'm going to prove it to you today how emotions are feelings. Emotions are something you feel in your body. They create sensations, they create symptoms. And if you're not having a physical structural symptom of a physical problem, you are very likely having an emotional symptom showing up in your body very physically, and you're believing it's some type of physical symptom. And before we get to the evidence today, again, if you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. This information is free. I put it out there to help all of you. If you're looking for further support, help, assessment, coaching, group coaching, brain retraining, go to my website, thepainpt.com, and you can learn more there. So today's evidence of the week, I'm going to cover a couple studies here today. I'll link them in the YouTube channel. I'm going to show you some images on the screen today as well that I'll show you these activation patterns. So what happened here in 2013, there was a great study put out, and I remember when it came out, people in Europe and Finland, they did bodily mapping of emotions. It's the first time they actually mapped emotions in the body. And what they did, they took over 700 people in Asia and Europe, and they asked them to color in on a body map, where do you feel these emotions when they were triggered in the body? They said they triggered some emotions in people's bodies. And then they said, color in on the map where you feel activation in your body, and also areas where you feel that are deactivated. You don't feel anything. And again, what they're showing here and they're proving to all of you is that emotions, just like the word sounds, they're called feelings, right? We interchange those words, emotions, feelings. What are feelings? They're sensations. When you feel something, meaning you literally feel it in your body, it's not a thought. An emotion is not a thought, it's a feeling. What is a symptom, right? What is a symptom? It's also a feeling, isn't it? Something you feel in your body. A symptom you have is not a thought. It's also made up of sensations. And what I want to show you today is that emotions are causing the sensations in your body that you are believing are physical problems. You're believing they're physical symptoms when many times they're just emotional feelings coming out in your body in different ways, in physical ways. And we're running off to doctors, we're running off to have physical treatments when it's an emotional problem. And as many of you know, Dr. Sarno, who was such a incredible man in terms of understanding this, he says, move from the physical to the psychological. And this couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm going to show you right now the evidence to prove that these symptoms you're having are psychological. They're produced by emotions from your brain to end up in your body physically. So in this study in body maps of emotions, they say here emotions are often felt in the body, all right? And we feel these here. And again, there's 701 people. And what they found was they're going to color in different parts of the body where they felt these emotions. I'm going to show you guys the findings here from the study in just a moment, so you can see where people felt emotions, right? So if I ask you, where do you feel anger in your body? When you say I'm angry or you say I'm scared, how do you experience that in your body, right? Where do you feel that? I feel angry. I feel scared. I feel sad. Okay, you feel that way. Well, where do you feel it? Because you'll have a feeling in your body that represents the emotional experience you're having. So let me pull this up here on the screen so all of you can see what we're talking about here. And this is the heat maps, you can say, of emotions here. So you can see this on the screen here. Take a look at the color maps here. Where you see more red, orange color, yellow color, that's activation. Okay, when you see more dark color, blue, black, that's deactivation. So the areas that were activated when people felt these particular emotions you see here, you can see where they colored in on the body chart. This is where they felt these emotions. Remember, emotions are feelings. I can't say it enough. It's something you feel in your body. It's not a thought in your head. Hey, I'm angry. Well, if you're angry, this is where people felt most of their anger, which makes sense biologically. But I'm also going to show you a study in a moment that's going to show you how you don't always experience anger in this way, or maybe any of these emotions in the ways here. These are typical patterns of emotion. People who don't have any emotion difficulties, meaning they express, feel their emotions normally, they identify their emotions easily. There's distinct patterns in the body that we see across all cultures of how people experience their emotions. So, for example, anger here, just look at the heat map of where you see it activated, mostly from the midsection up, right? Chest, head, neck, shooting down the arms. Why would that be? Why would that be? There's a very good reason, everybody. Remember, this anger is a fight response from your brain. When you're angry, your brain kicks off a reaction in your body so that you can prepare yourself to attack, right? So anger is an attack emotion. It's a approach emotion. You're moving forward. So why would it go down the arms? Well, classically, you think, why would somebody punch a hole in the wall? Why would somebody smash something? Why would we do this instinctually? This is not given any conscious thought because that's where the energy is going. That's where the emotional reaction is. It goes to prepare your body to fight. So that's why it goes down your arms. It also can go into your feet, right? So you can kick. Okay, for example, fear, again, here, where does it go? We get it in our stomach, a lot in the chest. You think of the classic panic attack, which you see here with anxiety, right? I want to show you, though, it doesn't have to just go here. It can go other places, too. It can also be in your arms, your face. Most emotions activate the face. We emote through the face. We express emotion through the face. Okay, also, there is some activation in the feet a little bit here because you want to run away. Okay, fear, you're going to avoid something. So you could see these different emotions. Sadness also, if you look at that there, that's quite normal, right? That we can experience in and around the eyes, right? Makes sense. In the chest, the pain in the chest, heartbroken, you can say. We feel the pain in our chest area. Surprise, same thing here. If you look at surprise around the eyes, right? Really light up, eyes get big, chest. So you could, this makes sense, right? If we look at this, positive emotions, happiness, love, more throughout your body. Look at depression, everybody. Depression, just like the word sounds, it's very literal. Depressed emotions, not much feeling. Think of dissociation. Think of, again, the system shut down. I'm depressed. So you don't have much feeling at all. The body's not activated. So when we're depressed, we want to understand what are the emotions that we're feeling that are being depressed and try to get them to become more activated. Pride makes sense too, right? Think of somebody's chest is uplifted, face is up. I'm very proud. Energy's up here. So I want to share this with you because this is very real, everybody. Emotions or feelings, there's something you literally feel in your body. That's why you say, I feel angry, I feel sad, because there's something in your body that indicated that. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I've talked to you before about alexithymia. Alexithymia, if you haven't heard me talk about it, go back and watch some of my other videos here on it. It's a very real condition that many people with chronic pain and chronic persistent symptoms have. This is where you have difficulty identifying your emotions. You have difficulty knowing what you're feeling, expressing your emotions, being in touch with your emotions. It's a very real condition and is highly linked with anxiety, depression, and chronic pains in the body. There's a clinical correlation there shown in many studies, significant correlation. So they did a study more recently on this where they looked at the same body mapping and they took groups of people who were control groups that did not have alexithymia, and they took the other groups that did. And they again created these heat maps that look a little bit different, but similar in terms of activation patterns. And I'm going to show this to you here so you can see the difference in the patterns here between the two groups. And I'll explain what they said in the study here. So if you look here, again, they show a little bit more muted activation patterns here, but it's very similar in terms of how we feel emotions. This is the control group here. Again, they try to create the emotion in the participant to make them feel this certain way. And this is where the activation came out. Now, the bottom here, where you see all this coloration here across the body, this is the alexithymic group. the bottom half here. The alexithymic group is the group again that had difficulty identifying their emotions, expressing their emotions, knowing what they're feeling emotionally. Again, this comes from our learning, usually from childhood and our upbringing, how we deal with emotions. But look at what happens now. When people are having some of these emotions, for example, anger or fear, right, or anxiety, surprise, look at the how broad it is across the body here. Okay, this is not the same thing anymore as we see in the distinct group, okay? Anger is all over your body now. Fear is showing all over the body. They say it's a very muted pattern. Okay, so they're not, people with alexithymia are not able to distinguish or know they're feeling emotions because it's very muted. It's coming out in different parts of your body. And we could argue here that the symptoms you're feeling are these things because they're coming out all over your body and we're not making the connection to emotions because they're not coming maybe in a classical way that we feel emotions. Some people, they do have that. They do have symptoms because emotions cause symptoms, right? They cause physical sensations. And they're in the normal pathways of what we think for these emotions. And they're still, it's an emotional symptom. But for a lot of people with alexithymia, you're having things all over your body and you're literally not connected to the emotion. You don't think it's emotion. And that's what they said here with the study about alexithymia. I'm going to read you from this particular paper here. And this paper was put out here in 2021, and it was mapping alexithymia. The level of emotional awareness differentiates these emotion-specific somatosensory maps, they're called. Okay. And what they found here again in that one image I just showed you here is that they found that the combined map here for the alexithymic group or the probable alexithymic group indicated that participants reported widespread body coverage, both activation and deactivation sensations across emotions. Okay. Again, the map I just showed you reveals that the diffuse and generalized pattern of somatic activation and deactivation across all 17 emotions. All right. So what we saw here was that these people with alexithymia, they ended up having broad activation patterns. They weren't in specific areas anymore. And when you have this and you think about this, it makes a lot of sense, right? We don't know what we're feeling. And that's the issue with the alexithymia group. They don't know what they're feeling in their body. All they do is feel a lot of physical symptoms and they think they're physical problems when actually they're just emotional reactions coming from the brain. Okay. And again, here it says respondents who had probable alexithymia reported widespread activation and deactivation senses throughout the body. And some of them were lacking in intensity and specificity. They weren't in the same pathways that we see with people who are having just very traditional classic emotions. And the conclusion of the study was that the results suggest that difficulty identifying and labeling emotions, right? So if you don't know what you're feeling emotionally, but you're having these physical symptoms, this is called alexithymia, may arise in part from an altered perception of somatic activation, meaning this is coming out in your body through symptoms all over and you're not making the connection. You're not able to because it's not in the classic place that we have emotion. And this is where people make the mistake of thinking they're having a physical problem, but they're really just having an emotional activation of that part of the body. And it says here, it is well established that childhood maltreatment predicts the development of alexithymia symptoms. So we go back now to what we call the ACE scores, adverse childhood experiences. And not all of you, but many people have had trauma, they've had maltreatment, neglect, they've had childhood experiences that could have shaped our brains and the way we deal with emotions differently now. And that's why we're experiencing this in our body in these ways, that it feels very physical and we're not able to connect it to the emotions, but it is emotional. This is what I wanted to tell you today. I want to drive this home to you that it is emotional. Okay, just because you're having these very physical symptoms, there's no cause there, there's no evidence for physical problems. These are emotional symptoms in your body. Maybe they're not in the classical areas that we see for emotions where they're felt in the body, the sensations. But because of the alexithymia, because of your upbringing, the way you've learned to deal with emotions, these are how they're coming out in your body. So the goal here, everybody, is connect to emotions, to build emotional awareness, expression, connection, and to ultimately try to feel your emotions more as emotions, but to link these physical symptoms back to emotions. I say this all the time. We want to treat your symptoms as emotions. Treat your physical symptoms, approach these physical symptoms as just emotional reactions in your body. That is the key takeaway here today, that we're not treating these physical symptoms anymore as physical problems. We are treating the physical symptoms as emotions that'll come out in your body. Your job is to figure out what it is you're experiencing, what emotions these are, learn to identify, acknowledge, feel them as emotions, express them, and work with this on an emotional level. Then we'll start to see some changes in these symptoms because we're actually starting to work on the correct cause here and correct level. I hope this makes sense, everybody. It's very fascinating. This is the proof. I want to give you guys the evidence again to show you how this works so that you can understand how emotions can cause physical symptoms, because they do, right? They create physical sensations. I mean, that's just the way it is. They create feelings in your body. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I really try to spread good information here, give you the actual evidence coming from the research that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. Pass the video on to other people. Reach out if you want more support to understand your own condition and how it relates to your emotions and what emotions you're experiencing. That's my job here, my work. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Take care now. Bye-bye.